Hi,
How's it
Malachi.
going?
Thank you for coming back on the channel.
Thank
And
you,
welcome
Michael.
to Let's Have a Chat,
I
episode
appreciate
2.
it. Appreciate you bringing me back. Last episode, it was pretty interesting.
I think so too.
And
Yeah.
I think it was a good motivation, something different, and got us out of our comfort zones. So I think that
Absolutely.
better way to connect,
Yeah.
share different thoughts, stuff like that.
That's it. I think it's important sometimes to take yourself out of your comfort zone, get out of that revolving door of life.
Mhm.
Sometimes
The same ways.
that rat race, hamster wheel, whatever you want to call it.
Definitely. Yeah, it was a great video, and I'm happy to be back to do it again. And
Oh, absolutely. Well,
share.
I got some fresh questions on Let's Have a
Perfect.
Chat Australia,
Perfect.
and I'm ready to fire off. You are. Excellent. The first one. What makes you happy?
Whoa, that's a very
It's a direct question.
broad question. A lot of things could come into this.
Whatever makes you comfortable in answering.
Well, I feel like if you're at different stages in life, different things will make you happy. But my stage right now, I would say, in my stage, probably other people's stages, they would think that friends are very important. But I haven't had a lot of luck with different friends and stuff like that. So I would say that more family is my number one priority for making me happy and feeling like I'm in the right situation and the right environment. I would like to say money makes me happy, but I feel like being in the right workplace makes me happy. Having the right
Also,
people.
what you're getting paid.
Yes. So having the right people around you, right people that you can have some jokes and still work as a team and feel like you're doing the work together, because if you need help, they'll help you. So I'd put work in the environment and stuff like that over the money, even though in my mind I'd probably like to think that I would put money over it, but it's not happiness, it's more greed, wanting to take more. Another thing that makes me happy, I recently got my license, so I would say that just being free and having freedom to do whatever you'd like to do. If you want to go out, obviously not drinking like we are now.
Social is good.
Yeah.
If we're having a good discussion out of it, there's nothing.
I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, like, if you want to go out, obviously not drinking and driving,
Absolutely.
but you have the freedom. So that makes me a lot happy, because now that I have my license and a car, I can really experience more and see the sort of different things that I couldn't really do when I didn't have my own car. And so yeah, I'd put that definitely in the list that makes me happy, 100%. So I'd say family, the right workplace, having your own transport, having your own freedom is number 3. I feel like there's another one. I would say with the younger generation, I would say something that makes me happy isn't in the sense of just seeing them. I would say it's in the sense of teaching them the right ways that we never really got taught. So I'm trying to understand, like, if they're frustrated, trying to understand what brought them into frustration and what created it, and trying to find ways that doesn't continue the frustration to come back and go and stuff like that. Just, trying to show them different ways and teach them different ways to where they don't have to suffer as much as we have.
Learn from the past.
Exactly. So that's another thing that brings me happiness. So it's not the moment, but it's in the actions that lead up to the moment. So I'd say those are my top 4
Absolutely.
things that bring me happiness and make me excited for the future.
With one of your first answers about work, would you, for example, trade a well-paying job that you didn't really enjoy for a job that paid a little bit less but you enjoyed more?
Yes, I would, but with the enjoying of the workplace, I would say So there can be different factors that can come into it. So let's say my old job that paid me more, maybe I didn't enjoy the work as much, but I enjoyed the people that were around the work.
Okay.
So maybe if let's say the less paying job, I enjoy the work, but the people around me aren't as enjoyable and aren't as friendly as my old job, that would play a big factor.
So it's sort of like the whole picture, not just the
so
work
not just
itself,
the work itself, it's
the atmosphere.
Yeah, because in my opinion, being around the right people and being able to express yourself as a whole and not having to, slither your way around and act like somebody you're not. I mean, it doesn't make the work less enjoyable, but it makes the time where, sort of socializing not as enjoyable. So it goes hand in hand with the work.
Yeah.
So I would say, if a better job that I like doing more comes with better people, or not better people, but just the same sort of people that I still liked in my old job,
Yes.
I'd still switch. Yes,
Okay.
definitely. I think the happiness and what you're doing in life goes above money and having a better house. I just feel like it depends. Different people are different. In my eyes, I see it as I want to be living happy. I don't want to be living in stress and just not who I should be. So yeah, I would trade if the people were just as good as my last job, if not better.
Yep.
I'd definitely trade.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think sometimes we've all gone through that, where we're struggling to find the motivation or drive to do a certain job, and it pays well, so sometimes it could be the only thing keeping you there.
I mean, it depends. Different situations. Let's say you're, the only one that has to provide for the family. You sort of,
Fair enough.
You have to do what you have to do because what makes you happy at the end of the day is your family.
Yes.
So that goes above having good workmates and the best job you wanted that makes you the happiness. Because at the end of the day, when you come home and you're with your family, that's your happiness.
Oh, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. That priorities are important.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's tricky to see that
Oh yeah.
at times.
Yeah, definitely.
It can be a bit of a grind.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
absolutely. There's got to be a reason.
Oh, if there's no
If
reason,
there's no reason, that's it.
you're not going to be motivated.
Yeah, waking up in the morning. And it's difficult for the people that struggle to find that reason. Sometimes they've got those reasons in front of them,
I mean, it's
but
harder
they
to
can't accept them.
concept in there. I mean, it's harder for people that sort of live with family and they don't really have to pay rent, so they don't have that motivation to work because they want the money, but they don't need it to survive. So if they're living with family, they don't have to pay rent. They don't have the same drive as people that
That survival mentality, I
Exactly.
guess you could call it.
exactly because they know at the end of the day they're living with family.
Yep.
And even if they lose that job or they quit because they don't like it and they come up with a scenario in their head to make them quit, they've got something to fall back where they don't have to necessarily rely on making money.
So that responsibility side of things, where we have a different level of responsibility because it's less important, because I guess we'll still be provided for, as opposed to those people that
Plays a big role.
yeah.
I can relate because I've been.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of us have been in some of those pretty scary situations, and some of the very easygoing situations at the same time that we often take for granted. I think
It's not. If I was an adult, I wouldn't do that to my kids because for me, it took me. I started working when I was 17, so it took me about 3 years to actually properly get into the mentality of, this is life, and if I don't keep working, I'm not going to be stable enough to support myself
yes,
and support everything that I do. Let's say I go to the gym, let's say I want to play basketball on an indoor court. I won't be able to support myself because I don't have the stability that has been created for my family to survive, rather than them just lifting their wing up and putting me on, because they feel like, you know, that's the nice thing to do.
Yes, I guess then we'd come to the point where, I don't know, I guess you'd call it overkindness or something of that sort, can actually be detrimental, even though the person thinks they're doing the right thing, they've got the best intentions at heart,
Definitely.
but it's not really giving that person opportunity to grow.
Definitely. I'd just say, I wouldn't say the person who's doing it is a bad person. I'd just
That's
say
it.
they don't know enough. They haven't had enough experience to know what is detrimental, what is the best thing for your child.
Killing with kindness, sometimes, the expression goes.
Definitely. Yeah.
Do you think happiness is important? I love that question.
Yes, but would you say happiness is in the same category as peace?
Peace. What do you mean by peace?
Just at ease, not worrying, not stressing. I mean, I say you could be happy and be at peace at the same time, so I'm just asking.
I think so too.
I'm just asking if it goes hand in hand, or you're just talking just straight line happiness.
Straight line happiness?
So you're asking. Sorry, I forgot about the question. So you're asking.
Oh, of course. Do you think happiness is important? I guess another way, necessary.
Yes, I do. Because if you're not happy, then what's the opposite of happiness?
Unhappiness.
Well, people wouldn't. If you had a choice, you wouldn't choose unhappiness, because either you're happy or you're unhappy. Would you rather live in a state of mind where you're constantly, because I feel like unhappiness comes with different things. If you're in an unhappy mindset, you're constantly judging people, you're constantly not seeing them for who they are, you're not giving them more chances because you're in that unhappy mindset. So I feel like being unhappy comes with a lot of different attributes that aren't very sustainable, that if anything put you more down, because sometimes people in their head like judge people because they're unhappy, and then later on that day they'll go to the shops and they'll be like, oh, people are probably judging me just like I judge other people because I was in an unhappy state of mind, like I wasn't feeling good. And then if you're in a happy state of mind, I feel like, you know, you look at things the best way possible. You try to come up with the best scenarios in your head of why somebody could be doing certain things. You just be like, maybe they've been through a hard life, maybe, you know, stress has built up and they've turned to alcohol, or just things like that that put things in perspective and don't straight away turn to judgment and saying, oh, they're an alcoholic, they're not good. If they have a family, they're gonna like abuse their kids and stuff like that. Like, I feel like mindsets plays a big role in the decisions you make in your head.
What would you say to an alcoholic that drinks and says, that makes me happy?
I would say they're a bit lost.
How so?
I would say they've had a bad experience in life. Maybe they've lost their mother, maybe something has happened, and the only way that they can forget about it, because in their head they can't get over the fact that that's happened, they still cling on to the scenario and that attachment, that they still think that there's no way they're gone. It can't be true. So I feel like drinking is the only way that they can forget and go into a different mind state, sort of like a different reality. So I'd feel like they're not a screw up, they're not a mess up, but they just haven't gotten over the trauma that's happened to them. They haven't
Giving
processed
themselves
it.
time to process.
Yeah, they haven't processed it properly. They haven't gone through the right steps to healing from it. I just feel like they cling on to it. They can't let go. They still want to think that, you know, they're still a part of them, they're still there. Let's say a tragic death.
As an example of
Yeah,
why
yeah.
an alcoholic, one of the many, I'm sure.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
just a tragic experience, and they cling on to it, and the only way clinging on to it, I feel like gives a lot of stress on somebody, because technically, you know, they cling on to something that has already happened, and then they use the alcohol to forget about what they're clinging on to.
It's interesting though that sometimes alcohol just makes you remember more, and in some ways it can be
Different
a
people.
depressant
Different people, yes.
for some people.
Yes, that's true. And I can only tell you my experience and what I've seen. So
Yeah.
I haven't seen many bad drunks. So I wouldn't say
Very lucky.
yeah, I haven't experienced like angry people that get drunk. So
Yep.
with my experience, I just feel like they're trying to escape reality and don't want to. They want to get out of that mindset that they put in their mind of past tragedies that they don't want to let go of, so they can sort of forget in that moment.
Yep.
And just be happy for a moment.
Do you think often alcohol can be, if not used socially and I guess for the right reasons and not abused, can be a bit of a gateway to something stronger? Do you think
What
in
do you
your
mean by-
experience that
What do you mean
would
by
you
strong?
find alcohol is a gateway drug, as people say?
Depends how much you drink. I feel like, in my opinion, in my thoughts, in what I've researched, I feel like alcohol is just as bad as a lot of other drugs. In my opinion, most people wouldn't agree because you know it's legal. You
That's
can buy it wherever you want.
It's allowed by the church and the state.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I think if you don't exceed like really exceed the limits to where you don't know what's going on, you can't process everything properly.
Yep.
I think that's when it becomes detrimental and
Abuse.
it shouldn't be. Yeah.
That's the
But I
truth.
feel like, let's say you have, you know, a couple drinks, maybe 5-6 drinks, you know, like
Irregularly, if
That's
it is,
someone
yeah.
socializing with someone else, having a couple of
A social
drinks, getting a
lubricant.
bit more open,
That's it.
letting you, I wouldn't say be yourself, but just be more open
Be more open.
to, you know, sharing different experiences and different situations you've been in, and I think there's a good side to it. You gain more clarity about the other person, but then there's the bad side where you abuse it and you end up making that your complete personality. And
Absolutely.
when you abuse it, I feel like you get a bit over the top and you push people to places where you should never push somebody, you know, not like physically, but just like mentally, like just like
You distance yourself, or just a certain way that people just distance themselves from you.
you ask me, like
No, I guess as a statement.
Yeah.
And of course, yes, if that's a question towards yourself
yeah, you
as
can
well.
definitely, if you drink too much, you can definitely do something detrimental that really pushes someone away.
Yep.
And then because you've drank too much, once you know the drinks wear off,
Yeah.
you wake up in the morning, maybe a couple of days have passed, drink again, you wake up in the morning, and then you're like, I've lost a really good friend because I was out of control, I drank too much, I didn't know what was going on, and I just lost the shit.
Yeah.
So I think alcohol can be used for good, couple cans with a friend, talk about life experiences, talk about what they believe in. I think that's good. But if you tend to keep drinking on and on and on excessively, I feel like gets to a point where, you know, you're not using it for beneficial reasons, you're just
It's
taking advantage.
taking advantage of it. I guess just even like something good, something healthy, overdo it. Example that comes to mind is, and a lot of people wouldn't necessarily thought of this, but drinking too much water can actually dilute the natural electrolytes in your body
It
and
can
be
take it
detrimental
away. Yeah.
and flush out the good stuff. But it's not something really thought of.
No, because water's what we
Water.
use. Like,
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
A large percent of our body is water, but you can overdo it. Yeah, even just with a basic necessity.
Well, yeah, it comes with everything. You eat too much, you overdo it.
That's
you gain
it.
a bit of weight.
Even if it's good food, but if you're going to eat 3 times as much, it's still
It's
overeating.
not good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like everything in life. You watch too much TV. Sort of just want to come home, watch more TV, not interact with people, not want to socialize, not want to meet your friends.
Moderation.
Yeah.
Moderation is important.
Yeah.
Difficult. Very difficult, I
Yeah.
think. Some people, certain things are very difficult in that category. Especially things they really enjoy, which not bad, but can
Can't
be
always be.
overused. Yeah. And I mean, even just speaking of movies and TV and things like that, some people would also call that a drug in some way, escapism.
Yep.
Trying to distance themselves from reality, because a lot of the time you're watching a different reality, which isn't your own.
Yep. Definitely.
Yeah.
I think everything is a bit of a drug. And
Yeah.
if you take it too much,
Yeah, that can definitely be the case.
Sort of changes the decisions you'd normally make. Let's say you watch too much TV, you get home one night from work, go for a shower, ready to watch your TV because you're used to it, you're like, oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
And then your mate texts you and says, do you want to come out with some of the other mates from school? Do you want to come hang out?
Yeah.
And you're so used to watching TV that you shrug off a whole conversation with mates
That could be
that could have
beneficial.
been beneficial,
Yeah.
that could have helped you gain more clarity of life or
Absolutely.
situations that happened in the past. And instead, you prefer to watch TV because you've done it for so long.
I guess it's we get to the point sometimes where things like that almost become a version of our muscle memory, like driving the car, and I think, oh well, zone out for a sec sometimes, which, I mean, it isn't safe, but it happens.
Oh yeah.
And you realize, well, I'm still on the road,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
keeping
driving.
my distance from the other car, and
Yeah.
but that just sometimes certain things like media just become that, that drowning out and that muscle memory.
Yep.
I think. Do you believe in purpose?
Can you explain that a little bit more?
Purpose to life. What are your thoughts?
Like, you're saying like what's meant to happen?
More so meaning. Purpose in the meaning. Do you think it's
Yeah, but some
important
people
to...
put like meaning with
Oh, of course. Do you think
what's
it's
meant to happen.
important to have a purpose in what you do?
Are you specific on the sort of purpose? Like
No,
work,
whatever
career?
you get from that and go with. is
So
fine.
do I think there's a purpose?
Absolutely, that's a good way to start.
I think it's up to the individual.
How so?
I mean, if an individual thinks there's a purpose and he has his own mind created on the purpose that he wants, then eventually he'll get to it. So for my sakes, my purpose is, having an amazing wife, loyal, faithful,
Yeah.
Eventually having kids, landing a dream job that I love and I have no issues about, getting home, being able to kiss my kids, hug my kids, hang out with them for a couple of hours and then get to sit down and hang out with my wife. In my eyes, that's my purpose.
That seems
But
like a
it's-
good purpose.
Yeah, and in the same sense, I'd put purposes in what sort of religion you choose.
Important.
I mean, some people, just in my experience and what I've been through and what's led me to certain situations, I would say religion is part of my purpose.
How so?
I've been through a couple of what would I call it? What's the word? What's the word? Damn. Like paranormal experiences.
Okay.
So I've been through some paranormal stuff that is sort of, looking back at it, it took me a year to really understand what was happening, but now that I look back at it, and now that I'm going to church and stuff like that, by the way, Jesus is Lord. Just want to say
Amen.
that. I've had some paranormal experiences where it's really shown me exactly what this life is sort of about. I don't want to like expand too much on it, but I've had paranormal experiences, and when I was a kid, I sort of grew up with Jesus and church and stuff like that, but it sort of fell off because my mum stopped doing it. But I've had some paranormal stuff happen, and I've called out on Jesus, and basically everything went away. I had paranormal things that I was looking at, and I called out in Jesus' name, everything vanished. So it took me a year to really understand everything. It took me a while, but at the end of the day, I came to my senses and I thought about it, and it's part of my purpose now. So
Sounds like a good purpose.
yeah, man, it's something great to believe in, and especially when you've been through something that sort of relates to it. Well, I wouldn't say sort of, it relates to it. So yeah, it makes life a lot better, puts me on something above myself, more than me. So it's a pretty big purpose for me. Definitely.
What would you say to someone that is struggling to find a purpose or thinks there isn't a purpose?
Well, what I would say to them is, do some research, look up different things, and see what you can relate to, what connects with you, because everybody goes through different experiences.
Yep.
So I can't tell them exactly what to do.
Of course.
I can sort of just guide them into something that's gonna, make them do what they want to do, something above themselves.
Yep.
Something that has a higher purpose than themselves.
And you think that's important?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say. What I'm more speaking is like religion-wise,
Yes.
because I feel like religion makes you look up to something that is higher than you, more powerful than you, something that has more control over your life. If you put your faith in them, it sort of takes a lot of pressure off of you. Even if you're going through bad times, you just put your faith, you let go, put all your trust and faith in that one person that you're looking up to. So I'd just say to someone that thinks they don't have purpose is, number one, look into some sort of religion, see what connects with you better, and pretty much tell them to go see family. If you're not talking to your family, start calling them, messaging them, get in contact, because family is a big role in purpose, in my opinion. Family really can lift you up, and you can connect because you grow with them. So
Yeah.
I think it's a big part of purpose in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely important purpose. Yeah. And I think this is a bit of an obvious question, but do you believe in God?
100%.
Why?
Who created this?
Well, I know. God.
But most people would be like, a man created it, he came up with it.
But then I
Who
guess
gave you
there's
those
like
ideas?
the specifics of it. That particular table was crafted by.
Yeah.
But where did it come from? Where did the matter come from?
That
Would
too.
this matter
And I
even
also
exist
feel
to
like-
be crafted?
I also feel like ideas,
Ideas.
you know,
In what way?
I feel like God can, if he wants something to be created, if he wants something to be like energy, obviously we need energy in these days and times.
Yep.
If God wanted that, he obviously would have sent it into somebody's thoughts. In my opinion, I look at it like that too. I know I've talked to a lot of people about this, and they don't agree. I mean, each to their own, but my opinion.
What was some of the common objections when you were saying that your friends didn't agree? Just one, for example. I'm thinking you have one in mind.
Oh man, this was a while ago, a couple of years ago.
Fair enough.
They were pretty much saying, like, I mean, it's what anybody else would say, pretty much.
Okay.
They were just like, no, men were thinking, they came up with it. Nobody gave them that thought. Nobody gave them ideas. Like, they're pretty much, in different words, they're pretty much saying that we are God, we can create anything.
Yep.
And that, you know, this is man's world.
Almost like the thought came from nothing.
Yeah. It was just nothingness, and somehow a man's mind just pulled it out of nothingness.
Which, of course, makes sense. But like you were saying, each to their own.
Yeah, I'm not going to judge. Like,
No.
have a
Perhaps
laugh
we could just try to explain differently sometimes.
Yeah.
That's why, of course, there's philosophy to explain
Mhm.
a lot more in depth.
Yeah. It was a while ago, so
Oh, fair enough.
I don't really remember exactly.
No, of course, I get it. I guess in relation to God, why do you believe in God, personally? And then more broadly.
How is this here? How am
Existence?
I... Exactly. Like, how do I have my own experience?
Mm.
Like, I can't just be like, oh, why am I not... Like, I have thoughts like, why am I not him? Why am I not someone else?
Interesting.
I have my own body, I have my own legs, I have my own arms, I have
Sentient.
everything.
Just yourself.
There is no way that someone other than God could create this.
In what way? Why? Too complex?
You think this world just came out of nothingness?
Of course not.
This world couldn't just be here. In a whole universe of nothingness, this world is just here.
Mm.
Somehow it's just there. I don't know how it's there. I don't know who put it there. Maybe some alien just made it. Like, in my thoughts, dude, this is beyond anybody's imagination. There's
Well put.
no one could come up with different countries, different little islands. Some places are hotter. The sun, the moon. Like, how could someone just be like, oh, this is a great idea.
Mm.
Let me just somehow create a planet, and let me just somehow create a human, and just put them on here and see what happens. There's no ways.
Just too complex.
There's no way that
It's too
any
intricate.
person, any normal person that isn't connected to God, that it doesn't. There's no way that God's not there. There's
just too many arguments for him, not against him.
There's no possible way. It's not possible in my eyes. I don't know what other people think about it, but I don't see how it could ever happen. Doesn't matter if there's a million different scenarios.
Yep.
I don't see it ever happening.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
We have a tradition on Let's Have a Chat with the last question being you asked me a question.
Oh man.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
Oof. Sorry. Damn.
Oh, whatever comes to mind. Don't worry, I'm sure there'll be an opportunity to ask.
Alright, well, it's not
something
going to be a very like, you might not be able to talk about it for a couple of minutes, but
else. That's okay.
do you enjoy your job? If money wasn't involved, if money didn't mean anything and you just had to work because you had to work.
I'll talk about my job in a more of a broad spectrum.
Okay.
Nursing.
Yep.
First starting out, I did very much enjoy nursing.
Mm-hmm.
I did my certificate 3 first. enjoyed it, very hands-on. I got some work experience and then did my diploma at TAFE, which I enjoyed as well. Very hands-on. TAFE is excellent for that sort of thing, in certain departments, of course.
Yep.
University was disappointing, to put it in words. A lot of people may argue that, depends where you go. I'm sure there are variances, but it started to move from more of the tangible everyday to more of this almost hypotheticals, very politically correct, more about feelings, less about, it's almost like it was moving away from helping to this strange version of helping that they thought people wanted. More so make the person feel okay as opposed to try to help them. But I think what's important is often when you do help them, it ends up making them feel better as a result.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, I very much enjoyed nursing. To be honest, enjoyed, yes.
So not enjoy. So you're saying
I-
past tense?
Yeah, I guess picking up on that, I was enjoying it very much when I did my grad year, which is the first year after you finish your bachelor in nursing or bachelor in lots of things at Cairns-based hospital. But it was about 3/4, maybe 8 months through, 9 months through, where of course the big mandates for, of course, as we know, the COVID vaccine. And essentially what they said to the staff was, here's a limited amount of information, here's almost no data on side effects, here's an experimental drug for a disease that at the end of the day has very low death rate. Take this experimental drug or you're fired from something that you spent 4 years trying to get to.
That's a hard one.
So it was tricky.
That's a hard one.
And that's the thing. The more I reflect on it, the less it wasn't, though. It wasn't
Just to make
hard.
sure you didn't
It
do it.
was. No, I
Okay.
didn't get it. I'm clean, I guess you'd
Good
call
job.
it. And yeah, a lot of people would, that was hard, that's a hard decision. You know what? The more of it wasn't. It wasn't a hard decision. It was so worth it. God had my back every step of the way, in good conscience, for multiple reasons. There's the research out there. I couldn't do it. Moral and physical reasons.
I mean,
And
a
I
lot of
think
people
about
would
it now,
disagree.
I would never have gone back on that.
Oh.
Not a chance. There was so much disruption, don't get me wrong. Had a baby. I'm pretty sure at that point in time I had another one on the way. And as we were talking earlier about responsibilities and things like that, but this surpassed. There was definitely that responsibility, and there was another job that happened to come as well. Well, happened by that I mean God helped me with that. But no, I would never have changed it.
You're strong for that. I don't know what I would have done if I had kids on the way.
It was scary.
Second one on the way. Having a leave job. And
It was scary. It
Not
was
know.
quite. It was, and a lot of people talk about this ostracism. Sometimes they're segregated, and it was not to feel sorry for myself, but I was the only one on my particular section, my ward of I think 30, 40 that I knew of. There was some other sections and wards and things like that in the hospital that said no and was willing to get fired for it. And tried to fight it responsibly, of course, being, of course, the conscientious objector, religious grounds, health reasons, contract reasons, legal reasons. I really did try, definitely. And now they're talking about lifting the mandate. So my understanding of that is most likely that the medical system is so damaged after shooting both of their feet that they need to fill this gap
desperate.
and also help fill this gap of caring for the people that have been damaged by often, not all, damaged by this vaccine that was experimental, minimal data. So yeah, I used to enjoy it. I would, but the thing is, I would like to enjoy it again. I'm not against that.
Yep.
I'm
So
not
you're
against
not,
that. I'm optimistic.
you're not set in
No.
stone.
I worked hard towards it, and a lot of people would say, well, you worked hard towards it, you have to stick with it. No, I could do something else. I've thought about some side things. But I would really like to enjoy it again.
So the COVID thing
It's
sort
more-
of took away the
It's-
enjoyness of it.
Yeah,
Took away your freedom too.
it did take away a lot of freedom for a lot of people.
Yeah,
I mean, of course,
definitely.
freedom of choice is very important, and
Mhm.
people chose to get it. But they had a choice to get it. I didn't have a choice not to get it. And that's wrong. That's what really makes a massive difference.
Definitely.
And with the newer bill coming out, which is euthanasia, a whole another topic which I won't get into, but for lots of religious and personal reasons, that's something I'd be stepping back into.
Really?
Yes, as I was leaving, that was also becoming something bringing in. And a lot of people will talk about choice. I mean, absolutely, people have choices, but with things like that, just like anything else, it would be abused. The example that always comes to mind is that person isn't their full, let's say, cognitive self. An enduring power of attorney or a legal guardian makes a choice for them, and that choice not just being should they receive this medication or should they receive this surgery, but should this person be put down.
Yeah.
That's not something that should be given to someone else.
That's
That's-
dehumanizing.
Dehumanizing and then taking away God's right. But I'm optimistic. I would like to, yes, I would like
I'm
to.
happy that you still have that momentum.
Yeah.
You haven't fully given up
No.
hope, and you're
No.
still pushing for.
And I have a lot of respect for the medical field, I
Yeah.
do. I think that there's lots of indoctrination out there,
Yeah.
which is quite sad.
I mean, it's not their fault. It's been passed down.
That's it, it's been passed down, it's
Yeah.
the universities, it's a lot of the teachers, and a lot of them, they don't know any better. I mean, you taught something enough times.
There'll be one person that sort of
Often there
bended
is.
the rules, but at the end of the day, the people that didn't, you can't blame them.
That's it. That's it. Some of them were a lot of them were in more dire or more serious situations than I was. Absolutely. And they made their decision, and I'm not judging them for that. More so that I was so confident in that decision, morally, spiritually, physically, that I wouldn't have changed it. And as a result, I am now getting paid more than I was there. I have more freedom. I work
Look at-
less
look at God,
hours
man.
for more pay. I mean,
Look at
there you
God.
go. That just happens.
You can't-
I'm sorry, but no.
You can't make
Something
it up.
that beautiful just happens. And if we're talking about moral decisions, try to do something good. Even if people want to talk about karma, try to do something good. Well, that was a good thing, and good things came from it.
There you go, man.
Yeah,
The world works in mysterious ways.
it does. And the Lord works in mysterious ways.
Seems like you did the right thing and you got the right outcome.
I think so, definitely. Well, I know so. And that sometimes sounds a bit arrogant to some people, but I know so.
Look at you, man.
I'm glad. I'm
You-
glad
you
I
did
did
what
it.
you did what you thought was 100% right, and you came out stronger.
Yes, that's it, stronger.
So
It worked. It paid off.
Yeah.
That little bit of scariness paid off in the
Yeah.
end. And when the next version of that wave comes out, bring it on. Let's do it. Bring it on.
I'm on the same page, bro.
I'm ready.
Yeah,
We got this. We got this.
definitely.
Well, thank you. And thank you
Appreciate
for that good question. Sorry if I talked your ear off.
Oh, man, it was amazing. I
Thank
loved
you.
hearing your story and what trials and tribulations you went through. Now you came up stronger than ever.
Thank you.
That's beautiful, man.
I appreciate that.
Really, really good story.
Thank you. Well, thank you again,
Thanks
and
for having me.
God bless.
God bless you, bro.